Samantha saw a homeless man sitting on the street and decided he was the person whose life she was going to change. Most people would be speechless with a cash gift that big, but the homeless man's reaction was a bit different. Of course, you could never predict a genuine reaction, but how this homeless man reacted truly caught her by surprise. Samantha was left stunned on the street, the homeless man raging against her. Samantha was completely caught off guard by the reaction of the homeless man, Marcus. He kept yelling at her that he would never take money from her, each time emphasizing the word her. She got a feeling he knew who she was, but if he did, she would be in deep trouble. She got her money thrown right back in her face, and when Samantha looked around, she saw that a lot of people were filming there. This was surely going to go viral on social media. Samantha had to come up with a plan quickly, otherwise Marcus would most likely have ruined her career with his reaction. But why did Marcus turn down the $1,000 gift? Who was Samantha, and how did Marcus know her so well? There are probably not a lot of homeless people in the world who would turn down a gift of $10,000 in cash, and Marcus never expected that he would either. Samantha had a very good reason for wanting to give away all that money, but that was not a reason she wanted to reveal to the world. She wanted to make it look like she was doing all this out of the kindness of her heart, without any ulterior motives, which was of course not true. But the fact that Samantha was able to give away $10,000 without much worry should tell you something about what position this woman was in. A lot of people in the country knew who she was, but she expected nobody here to recognize her, which was exactly what she wanted. She needed no eyes on her before she was going to do her good deed. She wanted to get people's attention by giving away the money, and she was most definitely going to get it, but in a different way than Samantha could have expected. After walking around the city center for a little, she spotted a homeless man sleeping on the street. So Samantha looked around and that the person following her was in place. And as a bonus, there were a lot of people around to witness her good deed. It was perfect, and so he approached the homeless man with the intention of changing his life. She woke him up, and the homeless man introduced himself as Marcus. Samantha asked him how he had ended up on the street, as she wanted to seem really genuinely interested in his story. But Marcus really did not want to talk about that, and she could not blame him. Marcus is a bit confused by this statement, but most definitely interested, and his jaw nearly drops to the floor when Samantha pulls out a big stack of $100 bills. Marcus is first convinced that this has to be some sort of prank, and asks Samantha if the money is fake. After multiple reassurances, he finally believes her. It is going absolutely perfectly for Samantha so far, and Marcus makes it even better when he starts to cry his eyes out and tries to hug Samantha. But when they let go from the embrace, and Marcus is face to face with Samantha for a second, she can see his expression suddenly change. The tears of happiness dry up as quickly as they came, and make way for a look of pure shock, followed by one of anger, and then Marcus pushes a very surprised Samantha away. He stands up and starts screaming at the woman who just attempted to change his life. "No, not from you. I am not accepting a penny from you. You have taken everything from me." Samantha is left completely baffled and then slowly starts to realize what must have happened. And the perfect plan was suddenly anything but, and it was all captured on film. Most people still had their phones out, and Samantha knew very well that this was going to make the round on social media. Samantha's mind immediately goes into overdrive. She either has to spin all this in her favor or try and make sure that none of the footage recorded here ever gets posted online. And seeing how many cameras captured this moment, option 2 seems very much like an impossibility. And so, in a desperate attempt to maybe make the video a bit better for her, Samantha picked up the money, got off the ground, and told everybody in a loud voice that she had no idea what that was about. As the other people cleared out, Samantha quickly explained what was going to happen. She told the people who were filming that she did not have that footage out there, and that she would pay every single one of them $1,000 extra if they deleted the footage in front of her. The people looked at each other a bit confused. It was a strange request, but they were not going to turn down so much money. Most of them rushed to take their phone out and deleted the one copy of the video they had from their phone and from their cloud backup if they had it. When they had convinced Samantha that the footage was gone forever, she gave them the money. Samantha was confident for a second that she had avoided a disaster, but she did not take into account that there was one person in the group that she could not convince that easily. Samantha settled into her sleek black car, letting out a deep sigh. She felt a strange pit in her stomach, a mix of relief and anxiety. As the engine roared to life, a nagging thought crossed her mind. What if that video was backed up? She murmured to herself. Gasping for breath, the man found a quiet alley to catch his thoughts. The stinging memory of the forceful grip on his arm and the loss of his phone angered him. He took out a spare device and logged into his cloud account. There it was, the video. A smirk grew on his face. If she's that desperate to hide it, then it's gotta be worth something, he thought. Feeling vindicated, the man quickly navigated to his social media profiles. Why would this woman do anything to hide this? He captioned, attaching the video. With a tap, it was out in the world. By evening, the video had exploded. Thousands of views turned into millions. Notifications buzzed incessantly on the man's phone. Comments ranged from, "Who's the lady?" to "Poor homeless dude." But increasingly, people were piecing things together. As night settled in, a new theme emerged in the comments. "Isn't that Samantha, the big shot CEO?" one user wrote. Another chimed in, "Oh my God, that's the woman from the housing scandal last year." Speculations began to form narratives. Panic engulfed Samantha as she scrolled through the endless comments. The magnitude of the situation became clear. This wasn't just about a video anymore. She contacted her lawyers and IT specialists, desperately seeking a solution to this PR nightmare. "Can we take down the video?" she asked, hoping for a yes. But in an age of reposts and shares, the digital web proved more complex than she imagined. To tackle the problem at its root, Samantha set out to find the man who started it all. The ripples of the controversy weren't just limited to Samantha's personal life. The stock markets responded. Shares of her company plummeted. Stakeholders were frantic, calling emergency meetings to discuss the situation. The video had evolved into a full-blown corporate crisis. While scrolling through a donated tablet at the shelter, Marcus stumbled upon the viral video. A rush of emotions filled him as he remembered the time he too had been wronged by Samantha. He felt a mix of sympathy for the man in the video and anger towards the familiar face. Marcus thought long and hard and then decided that the world needed to know the whole story. Empowered by the wave of support, Marcus and his newfound allies began compiling evidence, documents, emails, bank statements. They dug deep, searching for undeniable proof of Samantha's misdeeds. Community lawyers volunteered, working around the clock to build a case. As evidence mounted and public sentiment soured, lawyers from Samantha's side proposed a meeting. They hoped to avoid the stain of a public trial. The atmosphere was tense. Both sides knew that the upcoming trial wouldn't just be about financial restitution. It would be a battle for public opinion. In a high-end boardroom, Samantha convened with her top legal minds. They knew they had to change the narrative. Their best shot, discredit Marcus. They started leaking stories about Marcus's past financial mismanagement, hinting that he was just bitter and seeking revenge. An anonymous source even suggested Marcus had ties to criminal activity. It was a classic smoke and mirrors tactic. As the stories circulated, the court of public opinion was split. Some saw Samantha as the embodiment of corporate greed, while others argued that Marcus had ulterior motives. Debate raged on social media platforms, talk shows, and even at dinner tables. The grand courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Marcus, though weary, stood tall, a symbol of resilience. Their testimonies were heartfelt, with Marcus recounting his descent into homelessness and Samantha defending her life's work. With each word, the stakes grew higher, and it became evident that this trial was about more than just two individuals. It was a reflection of societal values. Under the weight of countless eyes, Samantha stood behind a podium with an array of microphones in front of her. Her voice, although shaky, carried a different tone than before, one of vulnerability. She acknowledged her aggressive business tactics and expressed remorse for the pain she caused. While she didn't admit to all the allegations, she took responsibility for many of her actions. Tears streamed down her face as she vowed to make amends. In the midst of the chaos, a journalist received an anonymous package. It contained promotional materials for a massive charity event Samantha's company was planning. However, financial breakdowns showed that only a tiny fraction of the proceeds would actually go to the cause, with the majority funneled back into the company. The so-called charitable act was just a facade, a PR strategy to win hearts. As the trial dragged on, Marcus grappled with his own conscience. The stress of being the face of the movement had taken a toll. He questioned the magnitude of the consequences Samantha was facing and wondered if his pursuit of justice had turned into a vendetta. The courtroom was thick with anticipation. The prosecution painted a vivid picture of a ruthless businesswoman who would stop at nothing to succeed. They reiterated the pain and suffering Samantha caused and highlighted the damning evidence against her. The defense, however, emphasized the lack of concrete evidence tying Samantha to illegal activities and portrayed her as a driven entrepreneur who played hard but fair. Inside a confined room, 12 jurors sat around a table scattered with evidence and notes. The weight of the decision lay heavily upon them. They meticulously dissected testimonies, reviewed evidence, and debated intent versus action. The courtroom fell silent as the jury filed back in. Every whisper was hushed, every rustle of paper magnified. The foreperson stood, clearing their throat. In the matter of the allegations against Miss Samantha, they began. The room seemed to hold its collective breath. We find the defendant guilty on some charges, but not all. Gasps filled the air, a mix of relief and disbelief. Samantha was sentenced to probation, hefty fines, and mandatory community service. Beyond the legal ramifications, her corporate empire crumbled. Resigning as CEO, she found herself ostracized from the business community. From the streets to the national stage, Marcus's journey had been tumultuous. With the trial behind him, he contemplated his future. Using his newfound recognition, he started a foundation supporting small businesses harmed by corporate giants. While the shadows of the past still lingered, Marcus was determined to turn his experiences into a force for good, ensuring others wouldn't suffer as he did. Samantha's fall from grace was profound, but from the depths of despair, she yearned for a genuine redemption. She began by attending seminars on business ethics, genuinely striving to understand where she went wrong. Volunteering at Marcus's foundation, she faced those she had wronged and sought forgiveness. It was a long, arduous process, but step by step, Samantha tried to mend the bridges she had burned. Time heals, and the world moves on. Marcus's foundation flourished, providing a safety net for countless small businesses. Samantha, after years of sincere effort, started a consultancy that taught ethical business practices. Their paths, once clashing violently, now ran in parallel, striving for a shared goal. They never became friends, but a mutual respect developed. Both found purpose, forever changed by the storm they weathered together.